Urban Meyer, the NFL's worst head coach of all time. Urban Meyer was sacked just 336 days after being named head coach of the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban just won 2 games in 13 games as head coach, until Jags owner Shahid Khan had had enough of his antics. Urban Meyer's tenure was so terrible that it makes you wonder if he was the worst head coach in NFL history. The NFL's poorest club from the previous year, the Jacksonville Jaguars signed Urban Meyer, a 3-time NCAA champion college coach, on January 14, 2021. The Jaguars fan base was reignited because they had the first overall pick, which meant they would receive Trevor Lawrence, and now had a proven winner as their head coach. "I got it right," said Jags owner Shahid Khan when he made the hire. Urban had won wherever he went prior to joining the Jaguars, but not without controversy. And it didn't take long for that controversy to follow him to Jacksonville. Meyer hired Chris Doyle as a strength coach, a former Iowa strength coach who had been sacked just 7 months previously after dozens of former Hawkeyes accused him of being racist and treating black players unfairly. Doyle's hiring sparked widespread outrage, and Meyer was chastised for his decision. Meyer's claim that he had known Doyle for 20 years didn't help matters. Doyle resigned less than 48 hours later in the face of media condemnation. One thing Meyer could never go wrong with was the top overall pick on draft day, which was always going to be Trevor Lawrence. But that didn't rule out the remainder of the draft. Lawrence's Clemson backfield mate, Travis Etienne, was taken with the Jags' second first-round draft pick. In and of itself, drafting a running back that early is a weird choice. But when you consider that the Jags already had an emerging star running back in James Robinson on the roster, it becomes even more confusing. But that was far from Urban Meyer's oddest roster move. He went out and signed Tim Tebow less than a month later. Tebow was Meyer's quarterback at Florida when they won 2 national championships, so they had a great bond. However, this was the same Tebow who was widely regarded as one of the worst NFL quarterbacks of all time. The same Tebow who left the league for baseball and hadn't played football in 6 years. And to make matters worse, he wasn't returning to play quarterback. Instead, he was switching to tight end, a position he'd never played before. You have to start questioning Meyer now. And if you weren't already, you were when you saw Tebow trying to play tight end. After the first preseason game, he was released. Meyer's rocky start was never smoothed out. The Jaguars were penalized by the NFL prior to the start of the regular season for breaking practice regulations by making contact during a no-contact time. During training camp, Urban Meyer faced Trevor Lawrence and Gardner Minshew in what was essentially a mock starting quarterback battle. Because everyone expected Lawrence to be the starter, Minshew was forced to take half of the starting reps for no apparent reason. When Minshew was moved before the last preseason game, it underlined how stupid the so-called quarterback battle was. Now a player who would never play for you has taken half of your rookie quarterback's reps. As if Urban Meyer's first preseason couldn't be any more perilous, he now claims that a player's vaccination status may affect whether or not they make the final squad. Surprisingly, the NFL Players Association was now calling for an investigation against the Jaguars. While the investigation yielded no results, the Jags' public relations department was forced to publish a statement attempting to twist Meyer's comments. Keep in mind that the Jaguars have yet to play their first regular season game. The Jacksonville Jaguars' new era looked like the dark ages on opening day in NRG Stadium versus division rival Houston Texans, who were largely regarded as one of the worst teams in the league before the season. With 6 pre-snap offensive penalties, the offense couldn't even snap the ball, and the defense couldn't stop anything, making Tyrod Taylor look invincible. After Trevor Lawrence threw 3 picks and the Jags lost 37-21, Meyer could only remark, "We'll evaluate everything." They led for a brief moment the following week before the Broncos took control of the game and easily won. Kicker Josh Lambo missed 2 kicks that could have changed the game's flow. After that, the Jaguars led the red-hot Cardinals at halftime. The Cardinals, on the other hand, dominated them in the second half, scoring 24 points and dominating the game. For the 3rd week in a row, the Jacksonville Jaguars would blow a first-half lead, this time against the Cincinnati Bengals, who they would lose by a game-winning field goal on Thursday night. The game was described as heartbreaking by Urban. What happened after that, Meyer chose to stay in Ohio instead of traveling back to Jacksonville with the team after an 0-4 start to visit the grandkids, as his eldest daughter Nikki lives in the Columbus region. Then, over the weekend, a video surfaced showing a man dressed identically to Urban Meyer in an Ohio State polo being grinded on by a 24-year-old woman in an Ohio pub. As if the video wasn't already terrible, Meyer then came out and denied it, claiming that a group of people seated next to him at dinner tried to snap photos of him and get him on the dance floor. Until a second video was released, he offered a light apology for being a diversion. This footage showed Meyer touching the same girl, so there was no hiding. Shahid Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, went on to say that Meyer's actions were reprehensible and that he needed to earn the trust of his team and the public. Moving forward, when you're losing, it doesn't help, and the Jaguars did it again. The Titans beat them 37-19 the following week. This time, it was Urban's post-game news conference that sparked a flurry of inquiries. The Jaguars chose Carlos Hyde over a QB sneak or James Robinson, who had run for 149 yards and a touchdown earlier in the game on a critical fourth-down goal line situation. The turnover on downs put the game out of reach for Hyde, who lost several yards on the play. I don't micromanage who's in the game like I should have. James is running incredibly hard, but so is Carlos, Meyer said when asked about the choice. In regards to the quarterback sneak, he indicated that Trevor Lawrence was not comfortable with them, but Lawrence quickly contradicted him, arguing the exact opposite. Meyer's remarks baffled fans, who wondered for the next few weeks, what precisely do you do, Urban? All of that was put on hold for a week when Meyer and the Jaguars ended their 19-game losing streak against the Dolphins in London with a game-winning field goal. The excitement and fever were dampened a little the next week when the Jaguars traveled to Seattle and were thrashed 31-7 by a mediocre team. The Jaguars then stunned the NFL with a 9-6 victory over the Bills, which would be Urban Meyer's last victory. The Jaguars looked absolutely dead from then on, as the Colts, Niners, and Falcons all went out to early leads that the Jags were unable to overcome. They didn't put up much of a fight, and it wasn't until the Rams blew them out 37-7 that it became clear what was going on behind closed doors. Tom Pelissero's breaking news story revealed the noxious atmosphere in the Jacksonville locker room. After a fight with Meyer on the practice field, club veteran Marvin Jones Jr. had to be persuaded to return to the Jags and the facility. Jones allegedly questioned Meyer about how he treated the players and coaches, as well as his public criticism of the receivers. The man who had "Own It" plastered all over the building was dodging and blaming everyone else, which enraged players who were already frustrated with their losses. Meyer claimed to the public that he wasn't micromanaging who was in the game after James Robinson was benched for fumbling in 2 straight games, but it was later revealed that he did the exact opposite, asking the running back coach to pull Robinson. Robinson was only reinserted into the game after Trevor Lawrence stepped in and inquired why he wasn't playing. "James is one of our best players and he's got to be in the game," Lawrence said after the game. "I think we're all on the same page, so there's no confusion there." Meyer went on a rant in a coaches meeting, questioning the manhood of every assistant's success and telling them they were all losers. Urban Meyer, who was never a loser and despised losing, was losing at an alarming rate. Meyer had already lost more games in 13 games than he did in his entire tenure at Ohio State, which has resulted in a poisonous atmosphere. Then there's ex-kicker Josh Lambo, who was released earlier this season after missing kicks, saying something about an argument he had with Meyer. Meyer approached Lambo as he was stretching and said, "Hey, make your kicks," before kicking him in the leg, according to Lambo. Meyer was fired by Shahid Khan at 12 a.m. on December 16th. Meyer did exactly what he did when he was head coach of the Jags. He blamed everyone but himself. Our video has come to an end. We hope you enjoyed the content. If so, please let us know what you think of Urban Meyer in the comments section. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe to our channel, and make sure to press the bell button to never miss a video.